Alrighty guys, let's continue learning about Sass. So let's hop on Learning Path, head over to week 8. Alright, so this week you're going to be creating a page, don't care what it's about. This shows your ability to use nested styles. You gotta have at least 3. One of the nested styles needs to at least be 2 levels deep. Okay, it needs to have an hover class, not ampersand. I'll explain what that is in a minute. At least 2 uses of that. Needs to have at least 2 mix-ins, and you need to use some math operators. I want operators. I want you to use plus, minus, and the parentheses. I'll show you how to use that in a minute. And you need to have at least 2 if statements, because that's kind of the point of Sass, is it gives CSS all of these programming type abilities that you can, these things that you can only do like in JavaScript and C# and C++ and stuff, Java. Now you're able to do it in CSS, which is slick. Okay, again, I don't care what the page is about, just as long as you use all these concepts. All right, so let's get into this. So I have, I'm inside of a folder called Advanced CSS Week 8. Okay, and I have my file here. Let's open it up. It just has an unordered list, has some paragraph tags, and we'll take a look at the code, and it has this awesome picture of an awesome cat, and then what I'm going to use the if statement on. Okay, so let's open that up in brackets. I think I already do, but we'll have it there anyways. Yep, there it is. Okay, now if you remember from, I think, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, we have to hook up Sass, and we need to create a Sass file as well. So I'm going to do file new, I'm going to do file save as. Okay, I don't think I'm in the right spot here, so I got to go to my desktop, and then I have to go to my quarter from you know where folder. Where it is? Okay, Advanced CSS, week 8. Okay, and I'm going to call it css.scss. Okay, I'm going to bring it over here to that side so I can see both. Okay, remember this is our Sass file, and then we got to use Ruby to convert it to a normal CSS file, which is going to be called css.css. Because I have CSS here, it's going to give it a normal extension once I do that. So remember, we got to open up the command prompt. Okay, we got to navigate to the folder that it's in. So for me, I got to change the directory to my desktop. I can hit tab and it'll auto-complete it for me. Oops, then I got to change it to quarter. Okay, and then I change the directory to week 8. Oh wait, it's Advanced CSS. There we go, Advanced CSS. Okay, and then I change it to week 8. There we go. So we got to have the command prompt navigate to the folder where everything is. All right, so right now in the command prompt, I'm in week 8. I'm in week 8. Okay, and then I got to tell it to watch this CSS file. Now, remember the notes last week, right? So we have update, which would just update it once, convert the Sass into CSS and do that once. But I don't want that. I want it to watch it. So every time I save it, it'll automatically convert it for me. So we do that, right? So we do Sass -- watch, and then the file name. Well, the file name is css.scss. So I'm going to put that in there. css.scss. Okay, it's watching for changes. If I want to stop it, I hit Control-C. Then if I took a look, you know, it automatically creates some things for me. The map file created that CSS file for me, and it created this cache folder. So now make sure you have the link tag linking to just the normal CSS file, not the Sass file. Cool. Now we can start. Now, I'm not going to do anything amazing here. It's just going to show you all of these concepts, and then you can kind of figure out what you want to do with them. Okay, so let's take a look at the HTML real quick. So we've linked the CSS. I have a p tag that just says cats are great. Then I have an unordered tag. Let's get rid of that line there. Just unordered list. A couple of cats are funny, cats are clean, because they are. Some break tags. I have a p tag with the class of link. This is paragraph 1. Yeah, this is paragraph 1. Then inside of that p tag, I have an a tag that takes me to Google. Then I close out that p tag. Then I have another p tag with an image tag in it with that picture of the cat. All right, this cat's amazing. He'll make you laugh. This cat's amazing. He'll make you laugh. Okay. And then I have a last one with the class, good old Half-Life, class of if, and I'm using an if statement. So we're going to use an if statement on that around kind of the end. Okay, so I guess the first thing we'll talk about, let's just go through these. So we'll talk about how to nest styles. So in normal CSS, to nest something, you would have to say, body, and then a p tag, and then, then an a tag, and so forth. That every time you wanted to style something differently, you'd have to rewrite it, and it just gets a little crazy. So Sass makes it a little bit easier. So the first thing we can do is just say, all right, we're going to style things that are inside the body tag. And then we just start styling things differently. We say the p tag. So this is basically just saying, okay, we're going to be styling all the p tags inside of the body tag. So instead of having to kind of write it out like that, we just write it out in a way that's a little more natural. We just say, okay, now we're going to style all the p tags, and then I can just, give them a font family. Fantasy's always fun. Font size, 22 pixels, and so forth. Okay, I save that, and I can come over here and look and see that the change was detected, so everything's good. So I can come over here, take a look at it. There we go. So all of the p tags inside the body tag have now been changed to fantasy and 22 pixels big. Yeah, and that's all done just by setting basically your own little style block inside of another style block. Okay, so I could keep going. I could say, well, unordered list. Excuse me. I can say, all right, the unordered list inside the body tag, which is this one right here. I'm going to say just typical stuff. So list styles, none. Don't want to have any there. So that's all I'm going to do. Just get rid of the buttons there. Okay, so they're gone. And again, I'm just nesting things. I'm nesting this inside of the body tag. And Sass is smart enough to convert that over. And it just seems to make a little bit more sense there. Okay, then I can come out here and we'll style the class link, which is right here. And I'm going to style the a tag, which is inside of the class link. And I can say text decoration, none. Color, I don't know, I guess for now I'll just say red. Say font family, cursive. I'm just throwing in random stuff here. We'll say font size 16. Save it, come over here and refresh. Okay, so there it is. It changed out the link. And again, it went to the link class, which is right there, and it styled all the a tags inside of there. Okay, now let's talk about this. Now there's this other thing with the ampersand. If I go ampersand : hover, before you would say like a, and then you could say a hover. Well, if you do ampersand here and then hover, And then we'll just say color blue, just so we can see how this works. What this does is it's basically saying, okay, whenever the thing that I am inside of gets hovered on, go to blue. So this has nothing to do with the A tag here. This has to do with the link class. So whenever the link class gets hovered over, everything inside the link class will go blue. So if I save that and come over, see how I'm mousing over way over here because the link class exists over here. It's kind of 100% wide right now. So I mouse over and it's turning it all blue. Okay. So that's what that means. So I could come in here if I wanted to make the A tag have a hover, then I would just have to do it in here. And then I could say hover color blue. So remember this ampersand saying, okay, whatever I'm inside of gets hovered over, turn that blue. So now I'm inside the A tag, so this would change the A tag to blue. This would change the class link to blue. Okay, you can see they both turn blue because that class link contains everything. And when I mouse over that, it fires both off, the A hover and then the link hover. All right, so that's all that means. It's just whatever I'm inside of, whenever you hover over that, do whatever it says inside of there. Okay. So to keep going with that, I can come over here and we'll start styling pick. And then if I want to, I don't have to nest anything. I can just say, well, let's take a look at pick real quick. So inside of pick, we have some text, and then we have that picture of the cat. So I just want to mess with the text. This is just simple, what you would do anytime. So font family, I don't know, monospace, we'll throw that in there. Font size, 22 pixels. So all that's doing is just messing with the text here. Okay, and that overrides this. The global styling of, I think it's fantasy or whatever, it's overriding that. Okay. But then I can say, well, there's this image inside a pic that I want to mess with, so I can throw in the image tag. Okay. Now I'm going to start messing with the image. Just do some transforms here. So rotate 40 degrees. Okay, rotate him. Good old cat. Let me move this over a little bit. We'll transform some more. We can skew it. So I'll do it 5 degrees on the X and 5 degrees on the Y. Okay. I want to move that over a little bit. So we can say margin left, go 30 pixels. Just because we want to bring it down a little bit, margin top 20. Now also it's something kind of worth mentioning, I guess, is with Sass, I didn't really ever find that the live preview worked very well with Sass because you have to save it, then Sass has to kind of get converted into normal CSS. And it doesn't seem to do a very good job with the live preview. Maybe you'll have better luck than I will. So I'm actually refreshing every time. I'm not really expecting the live preview to do it for me. All right, and just because I want to get some animation here, I'm going to say transition 1 second. Okay, and then I want to set up a hover, just like I did before. So whenever I hover over the image, right, we're going to do transform, rotate, we'll go 50 degrees, transform. It's the stuff we did kind of at the beginning of the quarter. 7 degrees and 7 degrees. So I just set up a transition, so when I just says basically if any of these things change, animate it, So when I hover over whatever this is in, right, and it's inside of the image tag, so whenever I hover over the image tag, it's going to change the rotation and the skew a little bit. So I'll just get a little bit of an animation here when I mouse over the cat. There we go. Just kind of a cool little effect. Okay. Let's see here, and then I can come out and just kind of do the same thing if I wanted to. I could say hover. Really, to be honest, I probably should tab that over, but that's okay. Oh no, I don't want to be there. I want to be totally outside. Okay, move that over. And I don't need that. All right, so I want to get let's see, outside of image. So I'll hit enter here and kind of do the hover as well. That's why it's really good. You focus on your tabs. It's going to help you figure out where you're at. I can just say color red. So that's now, again, whenever I mouse over pick, everything should turn red. Okay. I guess that isn't really... Oh no, that's all right. Yeah, see how the color's black, boom, now it's red. Okay. Anyway, so that's about it for the hover and the ampersand and for nesting things. Okay, now if I wanted to nest it, so you got to nest at least 2 levels deep. So you would have to have, you know, another, like you'd have to have something like, if you wanted to go, you know, 2 levels deep, you would have to make maybe like an image be a link. So I could come over here, I could say, all right, href. I'll take it to Yahoo, whatever. Right, so save that. So now the image is a link, it takes me to Yahoo if I click on it. So if I wanted to style that, I'd basically have to go, you know, pick. I'll just do it right here. So I'd have to go inside of pick. And then I'd have to style the A tag, and then I'd have to style the image tag, something like that. Okay, and then I could take all these things that I'm doing here and stick them in. But you can see how it happens. You're just gonna have to have a tag inside of a tag inside of a class or something like that to be able to go two levels deep. Okay, shouldn't be too bad. It's what we're already doing. You go the 2 levels deep instead. Alrighty, let's go back here. Okay, so we've done that, Okay, now we need to talk about mix-ins. Mix-ins are kind of cool, actually. I'm going to do it up here. So to define a mix-in, I'm going to say, you got to say mix-in, and then you give it some sort of name. I'm going to call it border styles. And then I'm going to define it. What this is it's kind of like a variable. The variable here is border styles, and it's going to contain all of these styles that I'm going to define. And then if I want to apply all of these styles somewhere, all I have to do is say apply border styles. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. So I'm just going to set up a bunch of styles for a border. So I'll say solid. We'll say 1 pixel. And then we'll say it's going to be red. Also, I'll say border radius. You can put in as many as you want here. Border radius 20 pixels. We'll say padding 10 pixels all around. say width 300. And again, like I said, you can put in as many as you want here. But now I've basically just created like a variable that stores all of these different values that I can apply anywhere. So if I wanted to, I could come over here and I could apply it here, and the way you apply it is you say include border styles. So it's going to say, okay, include whatever border styles is. It goes and looks for it. Okay, here's border styles, and it applies all of these properties and values here to all of the p tags inside of the body. So let's see if that worked. Okay, there we go. So now every p tag, those 3 p tags have a rounded border, I guess 4. They have a rounded border, 300 pixels wide, it's solid, and has the border radius, and it's red. So I hope you can see the power here. So if you have the same styles that you're applying over and over and over again, well, you just make a mix-in. Create a mix-in, give it a name, put in those styles that you're doing over and over again. Then whenever you have to apply them, you just have the add includes, and you throw that in there. Okay. So you need to have 2 of those, 2 mix-ins. So to create another one, it's just do the same thing. Just add mix-in, give it a name, give it the styles, okay, and then just include it somewhere. Okay. Pretty slick. Let's see, math operator. So this was interesting. I'm going to come up here and I will define some more things. We're going to go back and do variables like we did last time. I'll say like default font size 16 pixels. I'll say default font color. Say it will just be red for some weird reason. Okay, and then I could go border size 2 pixels. So I have all these variables here, and I want to use them. And we've already talked about how to use them. It's pretty simple. You just go down there and you throw in the variable wherever you want to use it here. But you're able to do some weird stuff. So I can come here and I can say, instead of having border solid 1 pixel, I could come in here and say, well, I'm going to have a border size which is 2, right? Because we've defined it as 2 pixels here. But I actually want to do +2 to it. So we'll save that. We'll come back and take a look. Okay. That looks okay. So let's take a look at the CSS though that's getting generated. There it is. Border 4 pixels. It knew to do that. It knows math, which is interesting. So it takes border size +2. It knows that it's 2 pixels. And if I add 2 to it, it knows to make it 4. Another thing that's kind of interesting is it's smart enough to say if I said 2EM instead, if I come back here, 4EM. So it's smart enough to know the value as well. If it's pixels, EMs, percentages, whatever, which is pretty slick. And that's all powered by the Ruby. All right, so, you know, because maybe you have a variable that you're using over and over again, but in one spot you need it to be a little bit bigger. Well, you just throw the +2 on it and it'll do it, which is slick. Okay, you can use parentheses as well. So I could come in here and say something like, this is if you have to do some weird math. I've never had to, but I'm just showing you. So I could do border size +10 divided by 2, right? So that would be border size, which is 2, +10, which is 12, divided by 2. That would give us 6. So I can save that, come back here. Okay, yep, it did the math correct, gave us 6. All right, and then it just applies 6. But maybe you gotta like times by percentages, or you know, something always needs to be subtracted by 5 or something. I don't know. Just one of those I'm showing you, hey, it can work. And use it if you want. Another way you could do it, you know, is come over here and we can say, you know, default font size. So I can say default font size And it could be same thing, -4. I can save it. I can come over here. Uh-oh. I must have misspelled something. Let me show you what happens here. Get rid of that. Sometimes when you do something wrong, you'll get these errors, which is kind of cool, and it helps you figure things out. So I must have spelled something wrong or something, but it says line 14, I have a problem. So default font size. Let's see, default font size. I'm not really sure what's wrong. It looks fine to me. Let's just grab this, copy it. It doesn't like that. I'm going to pause while I try to figure this out. Okay, I think I got it. It's freaking out right now. I think it's because I'm using minus, right? I'm using dash, and it's expecting this kind of a dash, right? So font dash size. So it's basically looking at this as default font size -4, and it doesn't know what that means. So I have to throw this inside of a parenthesis, and that basically tells it to, hey, treat this as a variable, calculate it, and then -4. So that should make it happy. There we go. And then if I take a look at the CSS here, it's 12 instead of 16. So yeah, that's how you get around that. Okay. But this was, I thought, a little interesting. You can actually add colors, which is kind of weird. So I can come over here, and I got a default font color. So I'll come down here to, let's do it to the A1. So default font color plus, that's red, so let's add blue to it. And it actually starts doing some weird color theory stuff. So default font color is red plus blue. If you put red and blue together, that gives you purple, right? Yay, purple. So it knows when you mix certain colors together, it knows what the results are, which is kind of cool. So you can add colors to other colors. All right, so I think that's about it for the math operator. So I want you to add some stuff together, subtract things from each other, and use the parentheses in there somewhere. All right, last thing I'm going to show you here is the if statement, which we're going to use on this down here. So I'm just going to come down here to the bottom, and I'm going to throw in the if class. So that's what I have right here. So you can set these variables up, up here if you want, but I'll just kind of show you how you'll want to take a look at these. So I'm going to set up a variable called yes or no, or yawn, and I'm going to set it to no. This can be anything you want. And then I can say yes or no color. I'm setting up another variable. And then I set up an if statement. And it's kind of like Excel if statements if you've ever used those. But it's basically going to say if yes or no is equal to, I'll say yes in this case. If it's yes, then yes or no color is going to be equal to blue. If it returns false, if this returns false, in other words, it's not yes, then it's going to be red. Okay, and then of course I have to tell it to apply that color. So yes or no color. So it's going to go through and check out this variable called yawn, or yes or no, and it's going to see that it's equal to no. Then it's going to see another variable that has an if statement in. So if yes or no is equal to yes, which it's not, it'll do this, red. If it is equal to yes, then it should do blue. So if yon is yes, its yon color is going to be blue. If it's not yes, yon color is going to be red. And then right here, we're applying that color. All right, so let me save that and see. Okay, it's red because yon is not yes. Now if I make it yes and save it, it's blue. All right, so you can start having some brains inside of your CSS that actually does certain things depending on other things. Or maybe, you know, on specific days you want to change a bunch of different colors or different styles, and all you got to do is just throw in a different value and it'll, it'll change everything up. It's kind of cool. Now, you got to be careful, though, on the order that you declare this in. Because if I take this and I put that on the bottom, it's going to freak out. And say undefined variable yon. Because right here I'm trying to say, well, if yon is equal to yes, well, it doesn't know if yon is equal to yes because it hasn't been loaded yet. The CSS is ran line by line. So it gets to this line and it's checking to see if yon is yes. Well, it doesn't know because yon hasn't been declared yet. So you have to make sure that the things that it's checking for has been declared above. Okay, so if I save that and come back, everything's happy again. All right, so that's it, guys. So like usual, what you're going to need to do is come in here, click that. Okay, you got the thread, click it here. What I'm going to need is you to upload everything to your host except for the Sass file. So upload your HTML, upload your CSS, upload whatever pictures you used or whatever. And then what you need to do with your Sass file when you hit reply is make sure that you add it as an attachment, because I need to be able to see that. Or, actually I'm interested here. I'm not really sure. I've never tried this. Oops, not that one. Public. I'm just going to throw my Sass file up there and see what it does, just because I'm interested. So I'm going to say davekid css.scss. Well, I guess, okay. So if you didn't want, I just wanted to check that, because if you didn't want to attach it, I guess you could just upload it like I just did, and then just give me the link to it, like this, and then I could, go through and check it that way. Doesn't really matter to me either way that you want to do it. So attach the Sass file or upload it and give me the link to it in the post. So I would just, go in here, grab that link to the Sass file and just throw it in, along with the link to my HTML file. Either way works, doesn't matter to me. I just need to be able to see your Sass file. All right, guys, any questions, let me know. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you later.